My name's Rebecca Gilliver. I'm one of the principal cellos of the London Symphony Orchestra, and I'm going to be the soloist for Walton's Cello Concerto in February. I first performed this concerto at the RNCM, the Royal Northern College of Music, and now, many years later, I'm coming back to it, and of course everything has changed. I'm much older and life has happened. And I love the piece even more. I mean, I loved it passionately as a small child, but now I revere it actually above all the other concertos. So I'm very lucky to be performing it. The Walton is, for me, quite an unusual concerto. It's very enigmatic and it's very passionate, but it doesn't have its heart completely on its sleeve. It's not like Dvorak and Elgar, which are so really out there. It's slightly more contained, and I find that a very interesting challenge. Quite often musicians have a backstory to their connection with a piece, and I do have one with this. When I was little, there were 5 of us, 5 children, so my parents didn't have a lot of money, and my grandmother gave them money to buy a dining room table, and they went off and they bought a record player instead. And whenever they could afford it, they'd buy a record and they'd bring it home and we'd all listen to the record. So one of the records that they bought was the Walton on one side and the Bliss Cello Concerto on the second, which is really very rarely played. And I fell in love with both of them, but particularly the Walton. And my dad put it on a cassette tape for me, and I took it to school and basically wore out the Walton side. And I wanted to play it, but my teacher said, no, you're too young, you can't play it yet. When I got home for Christmas that year, under the Christmas tree, there was, instead of a present for me, there was just an envelope. And of course, I was very disappointed. But when I took it out, there inside was the music to the Walton. And I immediately started to try and play it, but it was pretty awful. So that's my sort of connection with it. From a very young age, I was fairly obsessed with it and delighted when I got to college and I was able to start learning it at last. Playing a concerto with your own orchestra is quite extraordinary, and walking on stage for the concert is just the most amazing experience because you feel so supported. Everyone wants you to do your absolute best, and it's an incredible feeling. But it's also quite a responsibility because it's such an amazing orchestra full of incredible musicians. You've got to do them proud.